Hello and welcome to a bit of a special edition of Talking Royals. We said we weren't going to come back after last week, guys, but we decided to do it anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, although some of us forgot and some of us remembered.
Well, yeah, because there's so much royal stuff that
Yes.
happened over the last few days. We thought we'd do almost like an episode of Talking Royals Extra. I'm Charlene Mike.
Yeah.
I'm joined as always, but from home, all of us are at home. We have Chris and we have Lizzie, and both of you are looking very Christmassy today. I love the trees, guys. Lizzie, yours looks gorgeous.
Thank you. That's thanks to my mum. She decorated that one. So I'm at home with my parents in Sussex for Christmas.
Oh,
So where's your tree, Charlene? I
They
can't see
they
one behind you.
actually
no, my tree's downstairs. The thing is, I've got two young ones, so there's absolutely no way in the world that I could do this downstairs. The two kids who were high on sugar on Christmas Day and are on a major come down from all the sugar today. So I'm quite happy to shut myself away in the bedroom, to be honest, and be with you. Chris,
We can
your
stay here for
tree
I love that
hours if
you've
you
shut
want.
yourself. I love that you've shut yourself away. I've shut my family in all these different rooms, and I was like, just hide away. They were like, oh, maybe we could have some sort of walk-on role in the podcast. So if you sort of suddenly see three wise men appearing behind me in the background, they think they might get in on the action.
Right, so much has been going on, and we're sort of lots of us are doing this. Well, me and Chris anyway are doing this half in pajamas, half in like regular tops because
You're
everyone's
giving
still
away
slightly half
secrets here,
asleep.
Charlene. Stop talking.
So let's talk about the King's broadcast yesterday. Let's kick off. So many families up and down the country have been sat watching that yesterday, and it's a speech that he obviously writes himself. And it was full of big themes as always, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of big themes actually, and not a lot of specifics in terms of the fact he didn't speak about his cancer. I mean, last year he did. He didn't really have much choice last year because it was the first Christmas broadcast he had done since his cancer diagnosis. No mention of the family, particularly a certain member, the younger brother, Andrew, and we'll talk about the fact that he wasn't at Sandringham yesterday. So some very big themes. And I think what we learned from it was the King picked out that the highlight of his year was going to the Vatican to pray alongside the new Pope, Pope Leo.
In a historic moment of spiritual unity. Together we celebrated the Jubilee theme, Pilgrims of Hope. Pilgrimage is a word less used today, but it has particular significance for our modern world.
We talked about at the time, the first time that's happened since the Reformation, since Henry VIII tore Britain away from Rome in the 1530s. And therefore, that was a particular highlight for the King. And he said, look, I want to talk about pilgrimage and journeying because that was what the Catholic Jubilee year was all about. And we should learn lessons from the past, he said. And I wonder whether that was the only slight reference perhaps to his brother and the errors of judgment that the King said that his brother had made when the King stripped him of all those titles a few weeks back.
And Lizzie, he also talked about digital detox, which, we're a fine one to talk about digital detox. We're actually sitting on Zoom on Boxing Day, recording a podcast. But he talked about the importance of putting those phones away this Christmas.
Yeah, he spoke about the finding the still point in the turning world and a world that is spinning ever faster. And what we're told that he was referring to there is the effect that new technologies are having on community cohesion and general well-being, particularly on the younger generations. And we're told that what he's sort of hoping is that during the Christmas period that people have a chance for a digital detox, a chance to put those phones, those tablets down and spend real time with friends and families and loved ones. And I thought that was really interesting, particularly because it's so in line with what his daughter-in-law, the Princess of Wales, spoke about earlier in the year. She wrote that essay talking about how distracted all of society has become by technology. So they're very aligned there on that theme.
See, I was trying to have a digital detox this morning and then my phone kept ringing and it was you two saying, where are you? We've got a podcast to record. So it works sometimes.
Do you know what? I wasn't going to throw you under the bus. You've just thrown yourself under the bus.
Well,
But
yeah, I
yeah,
was
Bring us
having my own
up.
digital detox. I was taking the King's advice, and then you two were on the phone going, "What do you mean he's not there?"
so the only big question though is, Chris, Liz and I were wondering if when we called you this morning, did we wake you up?
No, I had actually been awake, and I had made a cup of tea, so it wasn't as
Yeah,
bad as it
being
could have
awake.
been.
Could have been.
Yes.
The other big theme to sort of pick out in the broadcast is really the theme of community cohesion.
These are the values which have shaped our country and the Commonwealth. As we hear of division, both at home and abroad, they are the values of which we must never lose sight.
He talks about kindness and compassion and hope, and that is a real, you look at the King's, sort of the cornerstones of the King's work throughout his life, and they encapsulate that in the 5 C's, which I'm going to try and remember. You've got community, culture, climate, Commonwealth, and now cancer. And community cohesion for him is such an important part of the work that he does. He does so much work kind of interconnecting different faiths, different communities, and that is one of the big themes of the speech. And also, interestingly, it was filmed this year outside of a royal residence for the 2nd year in a row, him choosing Westminster Abbey.
Well, it's such a beautiful location to do it, really. I went on a Christmas walk yesterday. I had a long walk with the family in the morning to get the cobwebs out, but nothing is quite as fancy as a Christmas walk the Royals do at Sandringham, and all eyes were on a particular section of the royal family, because Eugenie and Beatrice were there as well, weren't they, Chris?
Yeah, they were there with their husbands, and you remember the message that the King put out a little while ago when he stripped Andrew of everything, the prince title, the dukedom, the knighthood, the house, and he made sure that everyone was aware that Andrew would not be welcome. Mr. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as we now call him, would not be welcome at Sandringham, not just for the public event, going past the cameras in and out of church, but also not at the private family meal afterwards. But as you say, yes, his 2 daughters were there, and the King said, they were entitled, they were allowed to come, they were, happy to have them there, and they came with their 2 husbands. So Beatrice is married to Edoardo Mappello Mozzi, and well, Lizzie's checking to see if I get these right, and Princess Eugenie is married to Jack Brooksbank, and they were all there. They stuck together very closely, I thought, and they knew that the cameras would be on them for at least part of the arrivals and departures, and they basically stuck together as a tight foursome, and they looked very relaxed, I have to say.
When they arrived, though, I did notice that they were right in the centre of the family arriving. It was almost like the family had sort of enveloped them, in the centre to arrive. And I think, what is being made clear is that they are still very much welcome, very much part of this family. And they were also at Buckingham Palace a few weeks ago for the sort of annual Christmas Day lunch that is hosted there as well. So that is being made very clear that they are still very much welcome.
Yeah, you're right, Lizzie, because William and Kate and the Wales family were behind them, weren't they? Because normally they would come immediately behind the King and Queen, and actually they followed up after the York family still. I suppose they're still Princess Beatrice of York. So you're right to point out that, yeah, I think there was a bit of a circling the wagons around the York girls, at least.
It's a bit of a weird situation, isn't it? Because all this can play out very publicly in papers and broadcasters, both here and abroad and elsewhere in the world. But at the centre of this is a family. And I think for some people, perhaps that's something to easily forget, that it's not a story that's been told that's fictional. Those 2 girls are going through something very real regarding their father.
Yes, and that's been the difficult line they've had to tread, I think, with Andrew, and obviously Sarah Ferguson, has also effectively been cast out by the family as well. So we're still waiting, of course, for Andrew to move out of Royal Lodge. He's still in there. We've been told that it will be the new year. Don't expect it to be on the 1st of January, but perhaps even into February/March, even before he comes out of Royal Lodge. And he's moving to some location on that Sandringham estate where everyone was yesterday, and he was not. So, I mean, a difficult year for the king. And we said before about this unexploded bomb that Queen Elizabeth II left for her son to deal with, because she just didn't deal with the Andrew problem. And he has dealt with that this year. And I suppose when you look back at some of the stories that were breaking earlier in the week about those emails from the latest batch of Epstein files that showed that, there was this one email from somebody who claimed to be at Balmoral who had girls, and his name was A, and used the same email alias, the Invisible Man. So we're presuming it's Andrew. When he was speaking in those very distressing terms, find me some quotes unquote inappropriate friends. I mean, because of everything the king had done a few weeks before, meant that they did have that clear blue water between the royal family and it's Christmas and Andrew. Imagine if the king had not done any of that stuff a few weeks ago. That Christmas message and the Christmas walk to church would have looked entirely different in the light of those emails that came out from Washington on Tuesday.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, as we do every time we talk about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he denies any wrongdoing. So, Lizzie, a few days ago, when you were talking about Kate's Christmas carols in our WhatsApp group, you said there's going to be a surprise, and I can't tell you, Charlene, or our producer Pen, what that surprise is going to be. And the royal family teased it, they teased it. And what was the surprise at the royal carols, Lizzie?
The surprise was that there was a very special duet between the Princess of Wales and 10-year-old Princess Charlotte that they filmed. They didn't actually film the duet at the Abbey. They filmed that more recently at Windsor Castle. And they were playing together a piece of music called Holm Sound by Erland Cooper. Erland Cooper is a Scottish composer. He's a lot of his work is inspired by nature and connection, which we know are themes that are really important to the Princess of Wales. And Charlotte and Kate, we're told, enjoy playing that particular piece of music together at home. And I think the Princess wanted to show some of the themes that she spoke about in a letter that she sent to guests attending the Abbey about love and connection. And I think that's why they decided to do that duet.
I have to say, Chris, it did really make me regret giving up piano when I was in year 9 at school, because watching them play together was really quite sweet.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking yesterday, I went out for a run in the cold on Christmas morning with the dog, and I was actually thinking, going through my mind was what musical instrument is the most accessible, but the one if you were to play, if you could choose now. And I think it would either be piano or guitar, wouldn't it? Because they're the most sociable musical instruments, and mother and daughter playing at the piano is a very, very sweet thing, and the bond that they have between them was lovely. And Lizzie mentioned the Together at Christmas carol service that went out on ITV1 on Christmas Eve. It's now become a bit of a tradition, and there was a link there, of course, because her father-in-law, the king, chose to have his Christmas broadcast from the same location, Westminster Abbey, and that meant that when they had the trees, they could share the trees. They didn't have to get new ones in or ship new ones in, which all goes along with the king's sustainability philosophy. But there was a real link there, I thought, between father and daughter-in-law, which there's a kind of a connection created by those two big events. And I think we have to say that the Together at Christmas carol service is a big event now in the Christmas royal diary, as well as the big message from the king. Now, I haven't seen the figures for viewing figures, but it's often, everyone says, oh, who listens to the king's message these days at 3 o'clock on a Christmas day? Well, it's often the most watched thing in the Christmas schedules.
Yeah,
another place that one of the Christmas trees went to from the Abbey to the Passage.
I like where you're going.
Segue alert, segue alert.
Lizzie. We love a segue. Because of course Prince William was volunteering with Prince George at the Passage, weren't they?
Yeah, so this is significant because Prince William took Prince George to the Passage, which is a homeless charity. He took him for the first time to volunteer and to see the work that the Passage does. And of course, Prince William was taken himself by his late mother when he was just 11 years old in 1993. There are those images of him there, and that experience that William had has gone on to inspire a lot of the work he has done to try and tackle homelessness, and then sort of the formation of his Homewards initiative, where he's trying to show it is possible to eradicate homelessness. And he has always said that he wants to introduce his children to the Passage at some point when they're ready, but it is something that he talks to them about. He's always tried to talk to them about homelessness when they've been on the school run, for example. So he sort of followed through with his promise there.
And also, I think what's lovely for people to see, and another generation to see, is a young person volunteering in some way and giving back to a community in some way, which is just hugely important anyway, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Lizzie was saying, that connection between Diana and William, and now William and George, really, really important. And they were, super careful as well. I mean, we should point out all the images were filmed by Kensington Palace, not as often is the case when they invite one of our cameras in as well. That's how cautious they were about it. They didn't want anyone to know about it in advance, and they released the pictures to us after the event had happened. But yeah, the volunteering thing is really, really important at Christmas, and we are reminded, what we should all be doing at this time of year, which is sort of looking out for other people, thinking of those who might not have what we all take for granted on Christmas Day. But actually, Charlene, I've got a question for you. How did you watch the King's Christmas message? Did you watch it live? Did you watch it with the family? Did you catch up in the evening with a port when you'd finished your festivities? Because Lizzie and I get to let you into a secret here. Lizzie and I get to see it a few days beforehand, so we can properly go through it, get all the words together. How did you consume it?
How did I consume it? I consumed it about an hour before we recorded. We met to record this podcast, Chris.
This is the thing you can do now, isn't it? Of course. So you don't have to watch it live.
I don't watch it live, and quite frankly, I couldn't have watched it live. I was cooking for 20 people yesterday. So as much as I love, talking about, the events and the workings of the royal family, I can't pause simply to watch the King when I need to feed 20 people.
Absolutely. We made the grandparents watch it just before we served dinner, and Grandad said, "Oh, what is it? Is this the King's second Christmas broadcast?" And I went, "No, it's his fourth." And he went, "4?" And it's quite amazing how people still think he's a relatively new monarch when, he did the first one was done in St George's Chapel, where his mother was buried. The second one was in Buckingham Palace. And then last year was from that chapel connected to Middlesex Hospital, because he was talking about his cancer, but also Kate's cancer. And this year from Westminster Abbey. So 4 he's done. And there was Grandad sitting there thinking it was relatively new.
It's worth mentioning the beautiful choir that performed at the end of the broadcast. They are a choir called Songs for Ukraine, and I think what we have seen from the King, very consistently, is his ongoing support for Ukraine since the conflict started. So I thought the song was absolutely beautiful.
It was absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to let you both go now because it's Boxing Day. There's lots of leftovers to eat. There's lots of tired children to deal with, in my instance. But it's been fun.
Are they still fighting upstairs? Can you hear them?
Oh, I can see my son is currently trying to discreetly open the door, no doubt to complain about something or another. So I'll get back to them. We take a brief break next week, and then we'll be back and raring to go at the end of the first week of January. But it's been wonderful to see you both. And as we say every single week, if anyone wants to keep up with all the things we've been talking about over the past few months regarding the twists and turns of the royal family, we do have our YouTube page, Talking Royals. You can catch up with so many different episodes there, and also our favourite episodes thus far, which we have chosen. Do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I think it's good for us all to just wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Exactly. Happy New Year.